A reminder for people with my melanin deficiency, it's not enough to not be racist. We have to be actively anti-racist. We have to be pushing back and not voting for politicians, for example, who have been demonstrably racist over decades of private and public careers. We have to actively support the minority communities around us. We have to actively push for their equality, for their access to the same things that we have access to, whether it's education or employment or resources, any of that. We have to be active. We have to be proactive in supporting them. And we have to identify and be honest about identifying the racism that is inherent with our system. The fact that our system is inherently built to support people with melanin deficiency and keep us on top of the social stratosphere. We don't need that in our lives. It's not good for us either, but it's worse for them. It's worse for the people around us.
Merk, you reintroduced segregation and you thought that black people wasn't going to accept your offer. We accepted your offer. You know why? Because Black America has never lived under a post-segregated America. There are hundreds of sundown towns all over this nation, north and south. Black people know that there are certain neighborhoods that you are not allowed to be in once the sun goes down. You better not. There's even certain places within some of the major cities. Like there's a sundown town in the middle of the city of Chicago. It's called Bridgeport. Even you can consider downtown Chicago, like Mag Mile, sort of a sundown town. A section of Chicago that to get there, you're going to have to go through checkpoints and, hidden police officers and things like that. And that's across the entire country. Our neighborhoods are over-policed and underprotected. We have the most police presence out of any area in this country. And you would think more police, less crime. No, because their job isn't to solve crime or to prevent crime. Their job strictly is to keep black people from crossing the border of their neighborhood, to make it a terrifying experience to leave the south side of Chicago and go to the north side of Chicago to get something to eat, to go downtown and take your woman out on a nice date, to leave Waukegan and go to Lincolnshire, to go to the IMAX theater. Any of those things could potentially be a life-ending trip. And so we've always experienced segregation. Going to a restaurant and they seat you by the toilets or seat you by the kitchen. Taking your children to a school and the teachers treat your child as if they are a problem. Although the rest of the children are absolutely demonic. But your child, simply standing up for himself, has been labeled a troublemaker.
Hello, Safam. How are you doing? Hope you're doing super great from wherever you're watching us from. As you know, this is your boy Jim Turkey Stories, and I'm hoping that you're great from wherever you are. Now, something is coming back to my attention that I've tried to see a couple of white people trying to tell black people to, you need to start against segregation. We don't support segregation. And I honestly don't know if it comes from a genuine point of view, but this is just a question that you might also want to ask yourself. Things like Sandan Town, things that were happening to black folks, is it not these white folks that were doing these things? And what makes it different right now that they don't want segregation? I think if you come to think about it, I'm not trying to instigate hate, but I'm trying to look at things in a critical way, because why are you seeing not segregation when this is something that was already there? This is something that has been existing. It is just that it has not always been, had out like publicly, because when they say that racism went long time ago, but it still lives with it lives with black people. It is still there. The only difference is that it has not always just been said like publicly the way it used to be, apart from what now Mr. Donald Trump is trying to do, like making it be official. And so, from the fact that we can see a couple of white folks trying to, honestly, I don't know if it's genuine. Well, if it's genuine, then that's good. If it's not genuine, then we need to ask ourselves this question: why now? I mean, that's the most important question that we need to ask ourselves. The most important question is why now? Because you can't tell me all those things that happened in history. You people didn't know that it was happening to black people. Well, now they're bringing back segregation. You're like, nah, it's so unfair for black people. You don't need to do that. Well, you don't need to do that, but it happened to them. Where were you? Why were you not speaking about it before? Why were you not defending black folks, right? So let's don't act like racism and segregation went away. These are things that still live. So I want us to watch this video. I'll be back and then I'll share my thoughts in regards to this, because I feel like we need to have these discussions that are important and just try to ask things critically, think things critically, right? You don't just eat anything that is brought to you on the table. You need to ask yourself questions. How was it baked? Why did they bring it this time? Those are just questions we are asking. So these are presented Gintech Stories. If you're watching us for the first time, thank you so much. For those who are supporting our channel through Cash App, donations, through Super Thanks, trust me, this really goes a long way. And I appreciate you for the support that you're trying to give this channel, because it is that keeps me moving. So let's watch the video. I'll be back. I don't want to say much.
So, although you may have taken away the nigger-only fountains, you replaced it with a police force that constantly kept driving home the message: this is a nigger-only side of town, and the moment that you cross this border, you will pay, sometimes with your life. And everyone else in this country understands that segregation never went anywhere. That's why we have so many instances where a black person could be walking down the street or jogging, just jogging early in the morning, brisk jog, stay in shape, and he finds himself being run down by white men in a pickup truck and gunned down like an animal in the street. Or a young black boy just walking down the street, and a man would want to pull out his weapon. That's why white people feel the need to ask black people, what are you doing here? Do you live here? I've never seen you in this building before. Why are you here? You don't belong here. Why are you barbecuing over here? What are you doing wearing a hoodie in the rain at night? Because segregation, it's never gone anywhere. So when you say, hey, we're going to allow companies who have segregated facilities to take government contracts, black people are like, all of the systems that you're dismantling has nothing to do with us. And it is because of the idiocracy of racism and your deep belief in it is the reason why this great experiment is coming to an end. Yes, curtain calls. It is the last call for alcohol on the United States. And you were so afraid that someone from the outside was going to be the demise of your empire. And the oligarchs, the 1%, the overseers, the billionaires who are now running this country in clear, plain sight, knew that they would not be allowed to allow ISIS or any of the other terrorist organizations that they fund. You would not allow them to be the ones to dismantle the system so that you can be in a constant revolution of oppression so that they can take advantage of you and you will be happy about it. No, they knew the only way to slip this past you is for it to be given and be happy, for it to be implemented by one of your own. someone who has a message of racism and a lack of education, a head of state that can't even read an invitation from the King of England. Someone that you can associate yourself with a message that puts you into a trance, dreamlike state, so that when they dismantle this system, you would. Because you believe that the systems that are being dismantled are for coloreds. And they were for you. These systems were in place long before people of color could even access them. And so now you're okay with one of them saying, hey, you know, if you miss a Social Security check and you call in and check to find out where it is, you're a fraudster. They've convinced you that Social Security, if you dismantle it and take away from it, it will reduce the deficit. Not understanding that Social Security has no parts of the deficit. It's not money that we're borrowing from a foreign nation or bills that we need to pay because we had Boeing or Lockheed Martin build us multi-million-dollar weapons of mass destruction. No. Social Security has been paid out of your wages since the first time you flipped a burger at Burger King. It's your money. And they convince you that your money is a reason why this country is in debt. I would say a masterful job, but when you are racist, anything can get past you. Anything can get past you. Even collusion. Even collusion with Russia can get past you. Felony convictions can get past you. Pedophilia, multiple pictures with Epstein, flight logs to the island. All of those things can get past you because you're a racist. You're not superior. It's just, it was a ruse so that you can continuously look in this way while they rob you over here. Nothing, and I do mean nothing, that Donald Trump and this administration will take belongs to black people, belongs to Mexicans, or the LGBTQ community. Nothing. It all belongs to you. The more they dismantle, the less we give a fuck. Because now, you and us are all niggas now. Welcome.
They talking about bringing segregation back. Man, check this out. It's certain parts of the country, segregation ain't never ended. Like, I used to drive trucks over the road, man, and I done been in some spots where they might not have had a sign that said, like, no black people allowed, but the vibes was definitely, like, I was in, I'll never forget, I was in Arkansas. I can't remember what part of Arkansas, but it was somewhere in the woods, in the country, whatever. And it was like a mom and pop truck stop, right? They had like the diner up in there and stuff, had truck parking. So I parked the truck and I stepped in that mug, and it was like one of them scenes like the movie when the record skipped. Like when I stepped in the door, it was like, because everybody turned and looked at me. And it wasn't nobody in there that looked like me. And when them people looked at me, it wasn't a friendly face among them. It wasn't no type of welcoming or nothing. Everybody had a look like, I felt like I had stepped off a time machine. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even get in the door. I stood in the door, and when I seen that, I looked. Man, I turned around, got in my truck, and drove the hell off. You dig what I'm saying? It was another time I forgot where I was at. I was somewhere in the South though. And I had just stopped to get gas at this like rinky-dink truck stop in the middle of nowhere. And while I'm getting gas, a black dude pulled up. He was in a car though. I'm in the 18-wheeler. He in the car. But he pulled over by me and he hollered at me for a minute. So we chopped it up and he just like, you know, asked me where I was headed to and all this. I'm telling him and stuff. And then he tell me, he like, cause this was like midday, you know, late afternoon. And so he tell me, he like, look, he like, check this out. He said, when you get done pumping your gas, leave. Like, you do not want to be here once the sun go down. Say less. He ain't tell me nothing else. Understood. I was out of there. So, like, when they talking about they bringing back segregation, like, we still got sundown towns. That's segregation. You dig what I'm saying? A sundown town is a whole town where you, if you look like me, you are not welcome. Once the sun set, you gonna see a whole different side if you there. They catch you there. They looking for you when the sun go down. Cause they can't wait to find you because they got some stuff for you. But I really feel like these policies, all this stuff is making news because they looking for a reaction from us. And I'm so proud of my people because we ain't giving them one. We just like, hey, we gonna sit this one out. Y'all can't do nothing to us that y'all haven't done before. Like, it's never been fair for us. It's never been safe for us. So we comfortable. We cool. We used to this shit. The rest of the country got to catch up. You dig what I'm saying? Anyway, peace.
Atlanta going to be a sundown town. Chicago is going to be a sundown town. New Orleans is going to be a sundown town. So, and for the cities that's like predominantly like Hispanics, like Houston, Miami, like them cities, are they going to be sundown towns for too? Like, and obviously I'm talking about reverse sundown towns to where white people can't come in after, Baton Rouge definitely going to be a sundown town. All them niggas out here. I'm still not for the segregation, me personally, because I know, you know, like I said, history, but just entertaining the idea, like, will they have black sundown towns? Like, would that be a thing? And now that, you know, when I was in school, like, the back of the bus was the place to be. You know what I'm saying? You know how back in the day, like, they wanted black people in the back and we didn't want to go, you know, a la Rosa Parks? Like, now, if there's white people in the back of the bus, y'all telling them to get up and move to the front. Like, how is it going to work? I'm just curious. Can somebody lay the guidelines and the laws down for me since y'all so excited about segregation potentially happening again?
Have you ever heard of a sundown town? And I'm not speaking to anybody else but white people. Have you heard of a sundown town? No? Okay, well, let me tell you what a sundown town is. In simple form, it's if you're not white, you shouldn't be out after dark because there is a high chance that you are going to be unalived. More specifically to black people. The dark red circles are sundown towns. Did you see how many dots were on that map in what I just showed you? The red dots are surely sundown towns. The other dots that you mainly see on there are probable or possible, meaning that they're almost sure it is. Most of the dots on there are either of those three things. Either surely, which means it is, probable, or possible. So for those of you that love to say, oh, I don't think racism is as bad as it used to be. I don't even see racism or any of those excuses. What's this? And thing is, sundown towns have been around for forever. So, like, you can't sit here and say that racism isn't a thing when towns of white people literally threaten, intimidate, harass, and unalive black people after the sun goes down. Like, you cannot be for real. And there has been unalivings in these sundown towns, especially recently, in the most recent years, including this year in a town in Georgia. 19-year-old brothers, twin brothers, were unalived, shot. Where did they find their bodies? In the mountains in Georgia. In a sundown town. They were supposed to be going to Boston, and they never made it to the airport. Tickets still in their pocket. And they tried to say at first and cover it up by saying that it was a schmurder sewer slide. They were headed to the airport. Why would they have a pew-pew on them when they were going somewhere. And you can't have a pew pew on a plane. So clearly, obviously, that's not a thing. And if they weren't planning on actually leaving Georgia and going to Boston, they wouldn't have had their tickets in their pocket. They were found with their tickets. Do I believe that they were unalived by white people? Yes, I do. I do. Especially finding out that it was a sundown town that they were found in. Most definitely. And the firefighter being arrested for taking a photo of their deceased bodies when they were found, and he was arrested for that. Thankfully, I hope he gets charged. That also tells me all I need to know. And was the firefighter white? Yes, he was. Like I said, every chance I get, I am going to put it in your face and show you. Show you the racism that you claim you don't see.
Two young black men, twin brothers, Quadir and Nazir Lewis, found dead on top of Bell Mountain in Hiawassee, Georgia. Both shot, no signs of a struggle, plane tickets to Boston still in their pockets. And the police? No foul play. They're deeming this as unaliving and self-exiting. No, absolutely not. I'm not going for that. Because if you've been paying attention, if you know this country, its history, and how it erases black lives, you already know exactly what's happening here. Hiawassee, Georgia. A former sundown town. The kind of place that didn't need to say whites only. Because the silence, the stares, the threat of what would happen if you stayed too long, did all the talking. A town that was built on exclusion. A town that was never meant for us. A town where not too long ago, black people went missing and no one asked questions. And now, two black young men, 19 years old, with a future ahead of them, end up dead. And before their bodies were even cold, the police already had an answer. Unaliving and self-exit. Case closed. Nothing to see here. Because that's what they always do, right? Like when Kendrick Johnson was found rolled up in a gym mat. They called that an accident. Like when Tamla Horsford was the only black woman in an all-white party. They said she fell. Like the thousands of black men, women, and children who've just disappeared in places that didn't want them there in the first place. It's the same pattern. The same cover-up. If a black person is found dead in a place where we're not supposed to be, the first priority isn't justice. It's just shutting down the conversation. If the story feels off, they push it away. Because they know that most people aren't going to question it. And if the family demands answers, they're met with silence. But we know what this looks like. We've seen this before. We've lived it. And we're not about to sit here and let history erase these two young men. Quadir and Nazir Lewis weren't statistics. They were sons. They were brothers. They were two human beings with their entire lives ahead of them. They had dreams. They had plans. And none of those plans involved dying on a mountaintop in a place where they didn't belong. But now, instead of living their lives, their names are being used in a story that doesn't add up. And what's worse is that we already know how this ends, right? We already know the investigations are going to be quiet. The headlines are going to fade. And before long, people are going to stop asking what really happened. Because that's how it always goes. Well, not this time. Because we won't forget. We don't forget. We don't move on. We don't let this go. Because when black bodies turn up dead in a place like this, we know what's possible. Because this country has shown us over and over again that the truth is never what they tell us first. No, I don't believe them. And neither should you. Because until we start demanding the truth, the only thing we'll keep getting is the same old lie.
Hello, what's up, brothers and sisters? Welcome back to the channel. And I'm happy that black people are really asking these questions, because indeed these are questions that we need to ask. Like I said, you can't just eat anything because it has been presented to you. Now, because it's available, you need to eat it, right? You need to ask yourself, why is it that sometimes when we wanted it, it was not being presented to us? Like, what's the catch, right? We need to ask ourselves this question. And then I had a couple of people trying to talk about all these things that I'm going to be sharing with you. Somebody is saying that if America really cared about the elevation of its society, sundown towns wouldn't still be a thing. BA shouldn't still have to deal with these atrocities to this day. America doesn't want to change. It's all empty words every year of election. And this starts with the people that are being put into power, thinking that they'll bring change, thinking that they'll change the status quo. But at the end of the day, somewhere, somehow, they still also make it hard for other group of people like black people to survive or to live well in America. Somebody saying that it was never about being with them, but about having opportunities to have and enjoy life. We don't want to associate with people who don't like us. Honestly, what's the catch? What's the catch? Because there has to be something. Right now that you are vouching to be with black people, right now that you are now realizing the effects of segregation, that it's so vast, right? You need to ask yourself these questions. And I'm insisting. You can't just take anything that's being presented in front of you. You need to ask things. And I'm glad that black folks are standing in business, because they're saying, we will, it was never about being with them, about the opportunities to have and enjoy life. We don't want to associate with people who don't like us. They didn't give black folks the platform to enjoy all these things that they are having right now. They didn't give black people a spotlight to showcase who they really are. What they did, they went ahead and lied and gaslighted and stereotyped black folks. In fact, the good things that they did, they took away from them, and they came back and put negative things. It's like they exchanged this, right? Somebody's saying that we are going to sit around, mind our business, and watch it burn down. Our people came from nothing, and we will be okay. Yes, that has been the slogan 1 month right now. Silence is golden. Yes, that's all black folks need. Only talk when it's necessary. Only talk when you have to, because maybe if it's your brother. For the longest time in the American history, white people have been remaining so complacent because they decided to keep quiet. At least maybe few white folks who, try to help black people. I know there are a couple of white folks that are good. I won't lie, like all white folks are bad, right? They're not, not all of them. But the critical question is, where are a majority of you, right? You didn't even bother to say all these things. You want black people to come help you fight something that black people are saying that they are not being part of. They decided not to be part of that, right? So somebody's saying that, why do they talk equality but avoid acknowledging that the land they are in possession of is still ours? No intention to return it. Playing stupid? What's not being said is just, it's important as what it is. The language of silence, action speaks louder than words. Yes. Actions, as they have said, speak louder than words. It is time for black people to make a mark. It is time for black people to just keep their low, right? Don't say anything. Go at home, do your activities like it's normal, act right, drink a lot of water. You can subscribe to a gym. Do something extracurriculum. Going to street is extracurriculum, but you can do it in a way that it will benefit you. You can go to gym, you can go for some walks. They don't realize that most black people only interact and socialize with them at work, but outside of work, black people are not voluntarily and regularly in white spaces. Spaces like New York and LA may have more multicultural society scenes by default, but that is only a handful of states that are like New York and LA. The rest of the country, black people prefer to be in their own safe spaces. But black people put up with the interactions with them at work by default, rarely by choice. By default, but rarely at choice. Somebody's also sharing a story. When I was in the military, I drove about 20 minutes from the base to small island. Stopped, got gas. The attendant says, "It's getting dark. How long do you plan on being here?" I said, I don't know. Why? He said, you don't want to be here after the dark. I asked, why not? He said, you don't want to be here when the sun goes down. That was in 1990 in North Carolina. So when we talk about this, segregation has always been there. Like, you can't tell me nothing else to believe. Like, segregation have never been there. This is something that has been always there. So what's new for black people that they haven't seen, that you're now trying to get out in the street, talk about like, how black people will... No, this is something that has always been there. So, I mean, I like the attitude, because what they're saying is true. Let what come, right? Black people will stay. They won't do anything. They won't say anything. So I think it's time for people to understand, to stop gaslighting, to stop just calling black people in all these things. So I don't know what you think, I don't know what you feel, but that was just my 2 cents in regards to this. So if you're watching us for the first time, I'll definitely ask you to subscribe to our channel, join our membership, and really get to see what we can offer you. But again, I'll get to remind you, for those who are sharing their donations through Cash App, those who are sharing donations through the Super Thanks, just know that I highly appreciate, because it keeps me moving, and I really appreciate the support that you're giving me. But until then, I hope to see you on my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.